Episode 28, Finding Your Place. I'm Scott Bunn. Hey, I'm excited. I've got a local guy here that's like really done it on YouTube. Jacob Smith, Dangerville, right?
Yes.
Dangerville on YouTube. Go check him out. He's almost got 500K subscribers. Dude, I am just like impressed. That's so hard. And like, are you from Floyd?
No, I was born in Radford, and then lived in Floyd pretty much my whole life. Moved down to Roanoke for a little bit, but then came back up to Floyd because I just liked the kind of chill, kind of more relaxed, woodsy environment.
Yeah,
and that's kind of strange for a lot of people in my sort of realm because usually they're like city folk or hardcore into they're on the computer or everything all day. That's not really my vibe. I have to constantly fight between doing my computer work and then out in the garden. Before I came over here, I was just in the garden. So that's So I'm in this weird world of loving both like the ancient ways, but then somehow getting myself, deep into this YouTube sort of media world. And it's been a fun ride.
Well, tell me about that journey. Tell me how it
happened.
Yeah, how it happened, how you partnered up with your guy that you're working with.
Yeah, definitely.
And then just like the journey to almost 500,000, that's just like, that blows my mind, man. Like a local guy, but see, that's the great thing about it is like, I think that if anybody can do it, I can do it. I think if anybody can, I see people trying to do like, hey, Joe Rogan got $100 million contract. I'm not saying that I'm going to get $100 million contract, but we're trying to replicate things. We're seeing things that we're interested in. We like doing it. Like we're passionate about talking to people and getting to know people. And so just tell me like what motivated you and how did you execute? Like that's awesome.
Well, where this all kind of stems from is that way back when I graduated from high school, I actually got into acting a little bit. I always dreamed of being an actor, the whole classic sort of Hollywood approach, whether it was behind the scenes, being the guy that holds the light or whatever.
You just want to be a part of it.
I just wanted to be a part of it. I'd bring you your coffee if you wanted me to, whatever. And so I got into that, and long story short, I was actually had the chance to either move to New York or LA at the time, and like agents were like, oh yeah, we'll try to get you jobs because I went through acting like workshops, and then we went to this thing out in Vegas, which I've seen that you were at, which is cool. And then so that I always wanted to get into it, but I never really pursued going out anywhere at that point in my life. I just felt like I wasn't necessarily ready to go leave one stoplight Floyd and go straight to New York or Los Angeles.
Right.
So I kind of held off on it, but then I was like, I can still do something online with this whole YouTube thing coming in. That was like 2010, 11, really, when YouTube was starting to really take off.
Right.
And so I was like, I want to mess around with it and kind of experiment. Fast forward a little bit more, I learned that I was a good writer when I went to the New River Community College, and I was just taking my English class, and I was like, I like to type. And then for another YouTube channel called Halo Follower, which it follows the Halo video game.
Yeah.
I think he's got like 800,000 subs now too. They had like a little shout out there like, hey, do you want to like write articles for fun and not get paid? And I was like, yeah. So I decided to do that and got into that. Pretty much wrote like 50 articles for nothing before I started making like a little bit of pocket money.
Yeah.
And then that $5 turned into $100, turned into $200. And then I was like, oh, wow, there's actually some money in this just doing like writing.
Yeah.
And then I met Alistair, who is my owner, producer, creator of Dangerville.
Right.
He actually lives in England. We met through that. I seen this guy on Facebook who was sending way too many like long paragraphs, like arguing about his opinion about this video game, and I was like, that guy has way too much interest in this. I'm gonna see if I can get him on the team.
Right.
And so I emailed him and then pretty much got him involved with the Halo thing I was doing, and then we discovered we were friends. And we're like, hey, you like dinosaurs and Godzilla and King Kong and stuff that can eat you? And he's like, yeah. And we both are like, yeah, let's do this YouTube thing for fun. And so we started Dangerville. Just started making videos just for the heck of it. And the first probably 10 videos, they struggled to get 1,000 views or so. But then there was that one that got 5,000. We're like, oh. Yeah. And there's that one that gets 20,000. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
And then fast forward, what is it now, 4 or 5 years later, and it's been my full-time job for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
And I'm living off of what I get from the channel and all that, and we've grown to 500,000, almost 500,000 subscribers, and it's been a crazy ride. In the midst of all that, there's been a whole lot of like behind the scenes drama that you wouldn't know that goes on in the YouTube world, and all sorts of fun, adventures and stuff in between. But that's kind of like a quick summarized version.
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the story.
I want the long version. I want to try to get deep onto all right. So like your partnership agreement, like, I mean, how does that work? I mean, because I'm getting a network full of people that have interest in this, and I want to be valuable to them, and like spin them off my show and do something for them, and try to create for them too. Like, how did you guys come up with, all right, we're going to go this, and this is, you got it on paper? Like, I mean, do y'all have like a handshake agreement, or like, how does that work?
Yeah. So
this who really owns the channel? Like, how do you like?
Definitely. And it's very weird. And that is a strange connection or deal that we have to do. I don't know how many other YouTube channels or companies in general that are co-created by a guy from England and a guy from the States, and then having to deal with the YouTube way, how they send income, which is where they only have to send it to one person, but then that one person has to pay the other one, and like with taxes and all that, their taxes are different than our taxes. So I guess what we really agreed on when we first started was, whatever this channel gets, we'll just split it 50-50, and let's just bro code it out as best as possible, because at that point there's not really much else you could do.
Right.
And then, fast forward to now, we kind of have like a loose kind of contract between ourselves that we created just for potential, just because we're getting kind of large enough to the point to where it might matter. So we have a little thing like that, but I mean, we both just pretty much split 50% of what the channel comes, and then through our other ways of revenue, whether it's sponsors and like merch and stuff like that. It just kind of depends on.
Y'all have Dangerville t-shirts?
We do. I almost thought about bringing one. I should have. I have a few of them. I definitely probably should have. But yeah, we got some cool merch, and we get like sponsorship deals sometimes, and just depends on which one of us puts more effort into that job currently, I guess is how, okay, well, you did most of the work, you get a little bit more. And we've just somehow made that work for the last 4 or 5 years. Since awesome. 2017 is when we started Dangerville, and I've been doing YouTube since 2013. So yeah, it's been interesting. So yeah, I mean, it's just crazy, the ups and downs of a YouTuber. And that's like something that I want like people to kind of get an idea of, is that it's not like the glamorous sort of life that a lot of people think. They either think you're like, you got no life and you make a bunch of videos and you're like some weirdo, or that, you're just a drama queen, sort of, whatever, something like that. But or just top like driving around in like a
Lambo.
Fancy, that's the sort of typical general vision of what a YouTuber is. But in reality, it's gotten to the point where there's kind of so many people that have at least got it decently. I mean, I know a guy who has 17,000 subscribers in Floyd as well, and he's making good money off of it right now too. So there's so many people in the game right now. That are just normal folk who are just kind of hanging out, doing this as their job, and not doing the glamorous life, and they're just sitting behind their computer. They wake up, get their coffee, sit there, be like, all right, let's go, So it's not always just this like, hey, I'm an influencer, right. So we're in that weird just actual realm to where we actually kind of treat it like a TV show. And there's a lot of production things, and that kind of goes back to where I just want to be behind the scenes of anything, movies, Hollywood, whatever, growing up, and this is where we are now.
Right.
Yeah. So
it's been interesting, man, for me in my journey. I've 4 or 5 years ago, I got this vision in my head that we're sitting in right now, and I put it together, and I've really just struggled for attention. I've just struggled for like to have compelling enough conversations, I guess, for people to tune in, but I guess it's just a matter of like, we're young. I mean, we've got, not even 30 of this show, 50 of the previous show. So, I mean, I guess it's just keep plugging along.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you're probably putting out videos daily, aren't you?
Well, how we've always kind of rolled with it is try to at least get 2 a week. And that's at least 2. Yeah. Sometimes we've had 3, sometimes we've had 4 or 5, sometimes we've had 1 or none. Yeah. But we tried our best to at least get, 1 I get one out and, you know, my buddy gets one out.
Gotcha.
And that's kind of how we've rolled with it for a while. But yeah, the channel didn't really take off. We started in 2017. It didn't become to where we could, I guess, get full-time off of it until late 2019. And so everywhere in between it, we were, you know, struggling. I'd say we put out 50 videos before we both started making, you know, enough money, maybe not to live off of, but like a solid hunk of money.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it really is. It's a mixture of the grind and a mixture of coming up with something that's exciting, something people actually want to talk or hear about.
Yeah.
And it's hard to continue that even now. You know, we'll put out a video and be like, you know, it won't do nowhere near as good as what we think it should have done or would have done. And then you think about it and you're like, that was kind of a lame idea, wasn't it? And so it's like, you're like, you get kind of lost in like, I need to just crank stuff out constantly.
Yeah.
That you sometimes forget that like, okay, I need to actually get something that people want to listen or tune into.
I mean, at the beginning, I do believe that quantity will spur quality.
Usually.
But then at a point, at a point where you know what the audience wants to hear from you, then you got to go deep and just do great content.
Yeah. That's totally what has happened, and especially how YouTube has changed in terms of how they promote you on the algorithm.
Yeah.
They want you to grind your butt off at first and really work for it, prove that I guess you're dedicated to where they can be like, okay, we can trust them to throw our ads on there and make some money off of this person.
Right.
But then from there, you can ride that as long as you want. One issue that we've had with the channel focused mostly on current pop culture things, where it's the MonsterVerse, you know, the recent King Kong and Godzilla movies, or the Jurassic World movies with the new one coming out. You know, we're going to focus on that. Is that when those movies are popular, your channel is on fire.
Yeah.
But when they're not popular, your channel is just sizzling out, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
And
what's
so
the next thing? What's the next thing?
You're like, oh, I got to constantly bounce around. And so that's when the whole quantity thing, kind of quantity over quality approach, kind of comes back to bite you in the butt.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that nice core audience that is coming to you strictly for you and what you produce and like your amazing high quality thing. I have a couple other buddies in the YouTube game who their approach is, he you know, they only get like 2 videos out a month, maybe 3, but those 2 or 3 videos are bangers, like straight movie or TV show quality stuff, and their fans love it. And that's kind of the ideal route, because I feel like you can kind of push that forever. Whereas if you kind of focus your content more on like current topics and things, or like trendy stuff, it's only a matter of time before it kind of fades away and you got to get creative again. So starting off is it's hard. It really is. And I think it's made hard for a reason, and they make it harder every year, it seems like, because every year more and more people are trying. Yeah. I mean, you weren't trying to do this a couple, or, you know, at least, how long have you been doing the show?
I've had this vision for about 5 years, but we're just now to that execution point where we're like steady, and I've got a flow, and so like we definitely, you know, it would have been nice to have had this already set up 4 or 5 years ago and just been in the middle of the routine.
But you know,
and the problem with me too is I'm that guy that's trying to catch the trend, and I'm trying to have the conversation. I'm trying to have that interesting, compelling conversation, and then move on to the next trending thing. So that's going to be, I see the difficulties of that.
Yeah, and it is. And that's, I mean, you got to use those to build you, but at the end of the day, you yourself is what matters. That's what true. People want to come back for. Right. You know, you'll get the casual people that don't give a damn, that just randomly stroll across, oh, this guy's talking about a trending topic. You know, the new Batman movie's out. Oh, I'm going to click on this video just because the new Batman's movie out and this guy's talking about it. Right. He watches the video, they're like, okay, and then they go away and they don't care about you ever again. Right. So if you got to really make them stay after they click on that clickbaity kind of trendy topic. Right. They're like, oh, I got to keep coming back for Scott, or I got to keep coming back for Jacob. Yeah. You know, that's really the key, and that's really what separates the super huge YouTubers, like the million plus tubers, from, you know, the people kind of even like our channel, the ones that are between, you know, the working class YouTubers is kind of what I like to call them, like between like 1 million and, you know, 10,000 subs. you know, because those are the YouTubers that are really kind of, you know, they make just enough money. They're not living glamorous, but it is like a normal grind of like, you know, daily
I mean, if
jobs.
you get to 10,000 subs on YouTube, I mean, I think there's probably merch. I think there's probably merch opportunities and sponsorship opportunities and stuff like that.
At
that number.
Yeah, at that point, you're at least making side money, good pocket money, like enough money to where maybe you could work like a chill part time or a more free kind of job on the side and just be like, okay, well, this is cool. And that's kind of how I started as well. I guess that's be a good point to kind of add on to my story is that for the first few years of doing this, I was in college and then I worked a part-time like farm job. So I was doing farming or like local produce, like putting a bunch of potatoes in a bag and shipping them off to people. And I was doing that. And so I'd get sweaty and wore out and just sunburnt and just beat up, come home, chug a big cup of coffee, and I'm like, all right, let's start typing and get into it and just do another couple hours of that. And then I was able to bounce it around and kind of had a little bit of freedom that I really enjoyed. And that's something that I've really found the last few years doing it full time is what I love, because it allows me to do stuff like this and where I'm not stuck, you know, doing some job I don't want to do. Right. I can, you know, get out and do more creative things and then go home and catch up on my work, you know, and that's kind of, it's really cool to be able to do that and being able to, you know, bounce around in between different
Sounds
things.
like you're living a life of passion. You got your YouTube thing, you got your farming thing that you're still doing, you know. You just said you came from.
I do it for my just for my fun, for myself at this point, just because it keeps my head on.
But that's awesome. That's awesome that you get to pick and choose the way that you live your life.
Yeah, if I want to wake up and work from 5 to 10 a.m., go outside and work out, whatever, for 4 hours, and then finish off with another 3-4 hours of like editing a video that I wrote and voiced and did all that in the morning, then that's what I'm going to do. And that is really the beauty of this whole thing. It's you can sometimes get a video that goes and makes $10,000 and be like, holy crap. But at the end of the day, I think what's more important than any of the money that comes in is the freedom.
Yeah.
And then I think that is what true people chase. Like if you just try to start this stuff for the sole goal of making money, you probably won't get there. But if it's like your passion and you see like the true end goal, which is the life you truly want to live, which will fuel your passion, you just keep going.
No doubt.
And you make it work until it works. And then right now I'm working, I got like a bunch of different endeavors that all kind of stemmed from this.
Yeah. So, and that's what I mean. That's what I'm doing with the real estate. I mean, these real estate sales, you know, are going in. Some revenues going here because this is a passion of mine. Some revenues going into investment. You know, I've invested in real estate. So like, I take this and I go and try to create a life that equals freedom. I mean, it's all that's what it is for me too. So it sounds like we're kind of cut from the same cloth when it comes to the pursuit of why we do things and why we get up, you know, every day and do the things that we do.
Yeah. That's funny that you mentioned that too, because whereas you've been a realtor for
almost 15 years.
Okay, pretty much your whole probably adult life, more or less. And now you're trying to get into this realm. Yeah. I've been doing this realm for the last 8 years, and now I'm actually almost about to take my realtor exam to get into that realm as well. So they're kind of molded.
Yeah, it sounds like you need to be a part of the team.
Yeah, potentially. We'll see how that goes. Right? But no, for sure. That's just kind of weird. Like when I first we contacted each other, and I'm like, wow, man, he's like the inverse of what I'm trying to do. Yeah. And I think, like you said, at the end of the day, it's kind of that modern day entrepreneurship kind of passion that you just like, I have the internet, I can sell a house or invest into all that or do all that to make it to where I'm not working from 8 to 5 and
money just shows up in the mailbox, you know.
I mean, I get there's money in my PayPal. Okay. You get paid like once a month or whatever with YouTube, but you know, it teaches you how to be smart with your money too. And you know, I have to do my own accountant, my own, all that stuff, just keeping up on track.
Does YouTube send you a 1099?
So here's another weird thing. I swear, I don't know who else does this. I would love to know if there's another YouTuber or influencer or whatever the heck you are that has a guy from the States and a guy from England doing it. Because technically, my buddy Alistair, the other creator of Dangerville, he's the one who I guess technically owns it or started it, because they only allow you to one person to start it. So at that point, I was over here working on just not the right sort of stuff. I was editing my video with Windows Movie Maker, and anybody who knows that that's nothing. That's when I first started. I had nothing. I was just like winging it, and he was helping me. So, and he went to film school, so he had already he was a lot ahead of the game on that. So he started off with that. So they send him the money, but then it's weird because it starts off from Google, which is obviously American dollars and American company. They send it over to England. They turn it into pounds, their currency. Right. And then he has to send it back as dollars to me. And so it's like this weird, crazy thing. He doesn't get the tax form thing the 1099. He doesn't get one because they don't have those over there. Yeah. They get something else, and then I just have to document all my pay. Like I'm technically, I guess, an independent contractor, even though I'm the co-owner of the channel, right? In terms of the legality. I
think both of you would be considered independent contractors because YouTube's not W-2ing you guys. I mean, you are independent contractors through that platform. So I really just think it's probably simple. He has to document his side.
Yes, that's exactly. And you have to document both sides.
But I would think that Google would send you a 1099 if you make over X amount of dollars. No.
They that's the thing to where it's all set up to him. They don't get a 1099, so the money that he sends me, they don't know about me. Technically, they're not paying me. He's paying me, even though they're paying both of. It's really weird. Yeah, it's a strange situation. Yeah, it always makes tax season fun. Yeah, but it's worked, and I had there's no hiccups that have happened yet, so nice. It pans out, I guess.
Right on. Yeah. Well, that is interesting. I got a good CPA recommendation for you if you need it, but I'm sure you've got it. I'm sure you've got it under control. Yeah. All right, man. Let's get into like your content. Yes. Let's get into like why you went this round. Like this is obviously a passion of yours. So let's just talk about like the latest and greatest and what's going on
the
with
monsters
your content.
And the dinosaurs and all that. Why we cover that and talk about that.
And I did. Just before we started the show, we watched a couple. You had like 60,000 views, 45,000 views. Like what can you contribute to that type of view count as far as income goes right now? Like,
just to give you kind of a rough idea. What I like to say, if you can get a video over 50,000, you at least made enough money to make your work worth it. And you got to take into account that him and I split it. Yeah. So it's kind of weird when it comes to that. But yeah, if you can get over 50,000,
you pay for the video.
Yeah, you at least feel like you're like, okay, that wasn't kind of a waste of time. Gotcha. Sometimes it's different because if you get a video that has 30,000 views and it's like a 20-minute long video, that'll make more money than if the video was only like 3 minutes long. So I guess like to give you like a rough kind of idea, and it's different for probably every channel depending on multiple hidden variables that no one knows about. A good example, I guess, is 100,000 views. If you get a 100,000 view video and you're rocking it about, let's start off for a 5-minute, that video will probably make $300 and some dollars. But if you make that 100,000 video and it's 30 minutes long, that $300 and some dollars will easily double, and you'll get probably like $700 or so.
Because they get more chances to put ads in the video.
You get more chances for that, and then it appears like it kind of multiplies with every big milestone you hit. So when you hit 1 million, usually 1 million video is like it's like a few $1,000s. But then the difference between 1 million and 2 million is drastic. Yeah. It's like it triples. And then if you do even more, it kind of does it again. So if you see those YouTubers that have a 10 million view video and it's like a 30-minute long video, unless they got some legality like copyright or they cuss too many times or some sort of stuff like that, that video made a lot of money. Right. Like, you can kind of get, so if you hear them and they're complaining about not having enough money, they're lying. But it's hard to get there though. So if you make a video that only gets 30,000 views and it's 6-7 minutes long, you get like $100, and that gets kind of rough when you put 5 to 10 hours into creating that, and you're like 10 hours of work for $100 maybe. It's like it's a little rough.
No doubt.
But Yeah. Where were we talking about?
We were transitioning into your content, and then
yes,
and then I brought it back to like
the money
income.
Thing. Yeah. Now
so what's like the trending thing you guys are on right now?
Yeah, definitely. So I guess where I started talking about the whole dinosaurs, Godzilla, King Kong, and all that, I always loved the stuff. Jurassic Park, growing up as a kid, my dad got me involved in the Godzilla movies, the old cheesy Japanese Toho ones.
Right.
They're real great if you look at them with the right mindset and you have yourself a couple shots before you go into watching them. But yeah, so that's kind of what made me love this content and be able to be like, okay, I can make. I've always loved dinosaurs. I'm the dinosaur nerd.
Gotcha.
So that was kind of where that stems from, making this sort of content. And in terms of recently, what's really hit big with us is that they've made obviously these MonsterVerse movies since 2014, Godzilla 2014, and then they had Kong Skull Island, which came out in like 17, and that's when we kind of started the channel. Should have started a little sooner, but it is what it is. And then they had King of the Monsters, Godzilla in 2019, and then recently Godzilla versus Kong, which came out last year. And then on top of that, all the Jurassic World, the last two movies, and then the new one, Dominion, that's coming out. So that's kind of always been our main kind of, I guess, our babies of making content is this,
So
this
they've kept you flush with opportunities.
It has made it to where they have allowed us to pretty much grow to where we are right now and be able to talk about the older stuff too that isn't necessarily as big. One thing that we try to do and really want to do is go and make modern day people or young either kids or just people who never watched the old stuff respect it a little bit. Like,
so you're trying to give them history, and then you're trying to give like an appreciation
modern, modern pop culture stuff and all that. So you're like, hey, this is cool, it's trendy, and then you're also like, but let's kind of like learn a little bit about some stuff too. So we'll go and talk about like a cool story about the guys who used to wear the Godzilla suits. The guy would go and sweat off like 20 pounds after wearing this thing all day back in the 60s and all that. And you teach, and it'll do good. The video gets a few 100,000 views or something like that. And you're like, okay, cool. So I taught some people stuff they might not have known. And then we can go and make a dinosaur video that maybe it's a paleontology video to where we're like, hey, this new predatorial, something like a T-Rex, a theropod dinosaur was just discovered or has been recently put in the books as an official dinosaur. And we go and cover that and like, okay, we can do that. But then also there's this new Jurassic World trailer. So kind of working off of both the nerd and the nerd like pop culture sort of side, but also kind of trying to educate a little bit, trying to be a good role model-ish kind of, inspiring the young folk. And it was really cool. And before all this, COVID nonsense and before stuff started getting back to where we can travel easier, in 2019, they had this event called, well, they still have it, but it was this event called G-Fest in Chicago, where me and Alistair, my buddy, we actually flew out to Chicago, and there was like this convention that went on for like 4 days or 5 days.
Nice.
And being able to meet like people have actually come up and actually give a damn about me, which was really weird at that point. Like I still don't think, I'm like it doesn't, like some people like, even you saying like, oh, he's got a big channel, or I think he said like this real big YouTuber. I'm like, I don't really see myself as that. I'm still just kind of a guy. But when I went out there and like had like little kids, like 8-year-old, comes up to me and is like, oh, hey, can I get a picture? And their parents are all like cheesy with it. And they're both just like, and you're like, really weird for the guy that comes from Floyd. But, I'm glad that like that's happening.
Yeah.
Hey
man,
cool.
I don't think you can gain 500,000 YouTube subscribers without having
someone.
I mean, and not having some sort of fame that comes with it in your niche, like wherever you are, if it's in that realm, people are gonna know who you are.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and I don't show my face all that often in the videos either. There's probably out of the, gosh, I think we've had 500-ish videos or so that we've put on the channel. I've probably only had my face in like 20 of them, 30 of them maybe at the most.
I bet if you went to one of those conventions and set up a booth and just was like, wanting to talk to people about it, or had your merch to sell or something like that, people would flood over. I
yeah, that's something I've kind of learned the last little bit of chunk here, is that I've kind of reached out a little bit more to like people and just actually kind of like, hey, like, you know, what happened with you? Like, I'm a full-time YouTuber, you know, and like people see that and they're just like, oh, like I'm getting like, you know, I can see that kind of has some pull in it now to be able to be like, I have, you know, Dangerville 500,000 almost subscribers, and like it does, like it almost gives you like a weird appeal to people, which like I said, is still strange to me. But yeah, as far as content goes, it's you know, monster related stuff with teeth, stuff that can, you know, beat you to death, you know, whatever, you know, like, it's just that, you know, humans have always loved monster stories. They've been around since the dawn of humanity. They have all these stories, and what we always kind of say, that we kind of joke about, the handful of kind of tight-knit YouTubers in our realm that we've become friends with, is that like we're like the modern day equivalent of the guys that sit, you know, around the campfire and like tell monster stories, you know, like, you know, like get all like dramatic, and, like, you know, that's what we're trying to do to, you know, just instead of around a fire as a little kid watching a TV, you know, whatever, you know, so that's what we try to do, and try to, you know, like just hit that approach, because not as much normal, I wouldn't say normal, but like your everyday person, like there's this weird stigma that like only kids like dinosaurs and only kids like, you know, monsters, and like oh, it's a kid thing, grow up or whatever. But then that same person will go and laugh their ass off on a Marvel movie, and you're like, well, okay, and it's like odd how that goes. So I've kind of always, at least in my own head, wanted to push this content out to the more general audience, you know, guys like you, guys that, you know, blue collar people who might think like, oh, you know, like I gotta work hard and do that's child stuff, you know, like I'm like, well, yeah, but like, yes, it is, but in a way, but like it's also fun for everyone. If there's a lot of deep meaning to it, and a lot of the time, and it's just fun to talk about these things, you know, especially like dinosaurs, because that is the one thing that kind of bothers me the most. Like I went out to Colorado last year and actually went to like a little one of the most famous dinosaur footprint trails. Like you can actually see some footprints, like I like put your hand near it and all that. It's like embedded in the rock on the side. Pretty cool, really. Pretty.
That does sound interesting.
Yeah, it's very cool. So I went out there and checked that out. But the actual like building and all the other stuff in between, it's like all stuck in the 90s, and it's all like super kid related and just goofy. And so I've kind of made it a goal of mine to like push this stuff out to like the general folk, to be like, it is cool, it's not just a kid thing. And so I guess like morally, that's kind of, you know, something I'm really trying to push towards.
I mean, it seems like it should be general entertainment, kind of like, I mean, if Marvel appeals to the 40, 50-year-old, and they're just as excited as the kids to go see, you know, Iron Man. You know, trying to get that same energy behind you know, these dinosaur type movies, Godzilla's and
the monster stuff.
Jurassic Park. I think people are like our age or older are pumped, and that's why they will take their kids to see those types of movies, because they're also pumped to see them. Well. I just don't think it's as mainstream. So that's a good purpose. That's a good purpose for you to help it. Help it climb mainstream.
Keep it kind of going to that mainstream level of like, I just want people to be able to have that sort of bond. You know, it does exist in what we do, and more so with the Jurassic films than anything else. Because they're, you know, they've always been awesome. They've been around for almost 30 years now. So like we've all grown up with it at this point. But like the rest of, whether it's like the more science-based, like paleontology and all that, like actual dinosaur stuff, kid stuff, and you know, Godzilla and has always been a joke. King Kong is kind of the only one to where like a lot of people like, because I think people just love the story of Kong. It's just such a great like story of exploration and adventure and like heartbreak and just, you know, humans doing bad stuff and, you know, whatever. But where Godzilla has always been like, it's just a cheesy guy in the suit with the dubbed over lines to where the English doesn't match their lips, and everyone's just like, oh, it's cheesy, it's lame. Trying to get my wife to watch a Godzilla movie, it doesn't work. These newer ones, I can get her to kind of sit through them all, but the old classic ones just doesn't happen. And you know, I'd like to be able to make it to where people can be like, yes, it's goofy and cheesy, but like we don't got to make fun of it, because a lot of people in that realm, they're very shy, very, very, like, what's the right word? grungy. I almost like they're very underground for some reason. The kaiju fans is what I'd like to call it. The actual giant monster based off of like Japanese, stories like Godzilla and all those animes they have over there. Pacific Rim is another series. I don't know if I'm not
caught any of that. No,
they're very cool. It's pretty much giant mechs just destroying like monsters that are trying to destroy the world. It's your classic take, but it's just super cool.
Gotcha.
It's the kaiju realm is very much nicheified to a point to where like usually most people that like it are like the quiet kid or like I can't like really describe it any more than just saying they're kind of outcasts a little bit. Now there is some more, general folk, like I said, that are into it, but it'd be nice to get even more to come and kind of make those two worlds come together and not be, you don't pick on them for liking it and don't think that they're jerks because they think you're a weirdo, and kind of on that whole kind of like deeper emotional level, because that's where it is now with a lot of this content, this kind of like it's stuff you shouldn't take serious. Like none of it's real. It's make believe. All of it is. But movies and TV shows kind of dictate our lives in the current world. What do we do when we go home? We watch Netflix or watch HBO Max or watch this or this series or that series. Oh, this new series is coming out. And then you see people go and be like, they changed something, my life's ruined. And then they go and like get all anal constantly online, and they always bicker and go back and forth, and then there's like this weird feuds and all that. So it's important to, I think, deliver the right approach with this stuff, because it's really influencing a lot of people. Back in the day, we had our Saturday morning cartoons that influenced us. Like
it's the same thing.
We probably had that same growing up. But they don't really have it as much these days.
Right. Like this is the new version.
This is the new version. For a lot of tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people, this is their Saturday morning cartoon or whatever. So to be able to get it out there and spread positive messages. I know a lot of people try to get into weird agenda talk and all that, and we won't go there with none of that. But I think what really matters in my realm with the channel is just, like I said, just getting everyone to come together and be able to nerd out over something that doesn't matter, but we can have fun with it and be passionate about it. I'll be the first to say that it's a bit odd for me to go and be like, there's this 10-second scene in a movie. Let me go create like a complete fan fiction lore, nerdy sort of story in my head, write it up, make a video sort of based on that, and then be able to also go around and do this. I'm like almost 30. I'm like pushing that level. I'm like a full-on adult, but yet I'm just as goofy I'm doing kid stuff.
Right.
And it's just
that'll keep you young. I think that right there, like having that imagination and like getting that out of you and like being able to go back to that, I think that's going to keep you young for a long time.
Yeah, definitely. And I've met a lot of successful guys and ladies who are like the group that came before us in like their 40s or early 50s, kind of like the first footsteps sort of people that took off in the 80s and 90s, whereas we're like the thousands kid or grown-ups taking advantage. They were the first like nerds that kind of took advantage of that realm. And I've met a good bit of them who actually worked with the big time producers, like all the Warner Brothers, Legendary. I actually spoke with Stan Winston's son, Matt Winston. Stan Winston is the guy who made the animatronics for Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park, all those, like pretty much any movie that you've seen in the 70s, 80s, and 90s that had like a robotic monster, his crew made that. And I got to talk to his son because he passed away. But his son's also been in movies and stuff. And this was back when we first started the channel. But that was one of the most interesting, cool things, and that you can still kind of meet the older folk that are kind of setting the door open. And what's really cool about doing YouTube that I've kind of put together is kind of the doors that it does open. Like right now, there's a group of 5 of us who have like big presence in our community, our online community.
Yeah.
And we're actually designing our own monsters that we're going to try to sell as figures, as well as create a universe that we could potentially like pitch to like a studio.
Sounds like NFT type stuff. Like,
it could be. I'm not really familiar with that stuff too much. I know
we all need to get familiar with crypto and NFT type stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're developing something based off of like Dangerville that can do anything, it's got to be focused on that too. So maybe
looking ahead to the future. Yeah, we've talked about it a little bit with our talks, but I guess we'll get there more.
Yeah.
But
I love that. I love all that.
We're creating like this whole world that never would have happened if I didn't do this YouTube thing. Once again, just the guy from Floyd.
Right.
And I'm talking to a guy that, people from across the world, New York City, Colorado, London. I've talked to people in LA. I've talked to people in Greece and Australia.
If you can create the next Family Guy or, the next animated series that goes, 500 episodes.
That's you never know. And that's all stemming from this. And I'm really excited about that because we created a world, and then we're going to try to pitch it with some figures first using our channels that we've created to, sell them or
you have
whatever.
Clout. You have clout. You have 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. That's impressive. Someone walks in and you have a big following like that. They need to talk to you. I mean, really.
And it's really come to motion with that lately, and that's pretty cool. And then there's I told him that, but I didn't tell you, which is what I should say too as well. And I just recorded my first podcast episode with another person who makes content in our realm, and so it's not like this awesome setup to where you got the actual personal connection, which is really cool. First time I've ever done this. So this is sweet. I've done plenty of podcasts, but it's usually like I'm staring at a screen and just hear voices that are delayed, and we all interrupt each other because we can't see each other, and it's hard. Right. So I just started up a new one of those. We got to record at least a handful of episodes before you can put them out and like Spotify and all that, I think. And then we're going to try to kind of make our own sort of podcast in that world as well. So there's just all sorts of different endeavors. Like you said, really at the end of the day, the main reason why YouTube is awesome is the freedom and the doors that it opens. If you're a creative person, it's really wonderful. And and I guess to kind of sum up my story is that instead of having to move to Los Angeles or to New York, I can do it from Floyd.
I love it, brother. I love it. That's the stories I want. See, that's what I'm passionate about. Is like, I love this area. I'm from this area. I grew up in Christiansburg.
Yeah.
I feel the same. I didn't want to. I moved away. I thought the grass was going to be greener. Grass was not greener.
A lot of people do around here.
A lot of people do. A lot of people think that they got to get away to make a life. And I think you being an example, me being an example of creating the life we want and being discovered from here is possible.
Yeah. And with today's world, say what you want about the internet and social media and like all the negatives that it's caused and whatnot. At the end of the day, it's also allowed us to be able to do this stuff for people like us, the people that aren't city people that didn't grow up with really good internet
or even huge connections. Like mom didn't know home dude that knew home dude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, that is another big issue, is that to get into the actual worlds of the entertainment world is that it's like
you had to know the gatekeepers.
90% of the time it's like, oh, I know a guy who knows Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
And let me get, we'll say hi to you and maybe he'll, give you a job.
Right.
That's obviously hard work will get you in and can happen. It's not all that. Yeah. But it's definitely
you need less luck. You need less luck today to make it happen if you're unknown.
Yes.
You need less luck. All it is now is you can get the work because there are the new gatekeepers, but the access is wider.
Yes. Yeah. And it's very cool. The door is the biggest it's ever been, which is also hard because it's the most I don't know. I don't like saying competition in this world because if it is, but like I like to just be like we're all kind of just getting in on it together. But there's so much more people trying to do it.
But I do believe in abundance too. I don't believe in living a world in scarcity. I think there's plenty of opportunities. There's plenty of things to go around for the people that are willing to work for it the most. So
yeah, and that's really where it's at. I've heard tons of people that I've been friends with who I just know as Xbox Live friends or stuff like that, where they talk to me and they're like, man, I wish I could do what you did. They're like, I wanted like blah blah blah. I wanted
You're so lucky. You're so lucky, bro.
And I'm
so
like,
lucky.
I wanted, exactly. And it's like, do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
No, I'm not lucky. I might have gotten a little lucky, but I worked.
Luck is involved in everything.
Yeah.
You know, like everything.
Yeah.
I put out a video. If it goes viral, there's luck in that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, there was no luck involved in me writing 40, 50 articles and not making a penny off of it.
Yeah.
There was no luck in that.
Yeah.
That was just me putting the effort in,
because you wanted to do it.
Because I wanted to.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, you know, my buddies be like, hey, you want to go hang out? And I'd be like, I got to finish this thing that doesn't make me any money. Well, that sounds real stupid, man. You know, that's what they'd say to me. Yeah. But then now they go and talk to me and I don't look so stupid anymore.
Right.
So, yeah, it's really cool.
I love it.
I like doing this sort of stuff. And I like that, you know, I can kind of be a catalyst in our area, whether it's, you know, the Roanoke Valley or the New River Valley or wherever it is, kind of, you know, pole vaulting this into the next realm for our area to really make it happen. You know I've met, you know, now I've met an older gentleman who makes like outdoor videos, really awesome guy, which I'd love to connect you with him because he's super smart. He will talk your ear off. Yeah. He has like 17, almost 20,000 subscribers. He knows a guy who lives right down the road from him that he met randomly outside walking in the woods, who also lives right beside him, who has a decently big channel on like mushrooms, like, you know, wild, going outside. And then there's I've never officially met him, but I know there's like a doctor guy who actually moved into a house I used to have some friends that lived in. He bought their house and he's got like a channel with like 2 million subscribers. He does, but I won't give him the whole like because he's not fully local. He this is probably like his third house or whatever. But now,
either way,
now
2 million
he's in our world.
How does that work?
Exactly. Yeah. Now he's in our world, and there's lots of, I think, more hidden YouTubers and you know, online media entrepreneurs in our area. And if you know, like, I could be someone who helps get them together to be able to stop hiding. Yeah. Come out of the dang woods, literally, probably. Yeah. Because this is where we live. It'd be cool to actually build a community in a rural environment and show that you can live in places like this and still chase the arts. Like, you don't have to just be like, I gotta go, work a normal job or whatever. Because that's a mindset a lot, like, especially in like the South and our rural areas, is that like, you gotta go, do some sort of hard work or whatever. Which this is hard work. YouTube is very hard work. Yeah. Online stuff is very hard in a different way, mentally. Yeah. It just to be able to allow more people to get into that, because I feel like the entertainment world is not getting its full potential of people, because there's so much people that just are afraid or think that, why do it? I'm not going to succeed. Yeah. I'm not going to be able to. There's no point. No one will like me. You don't know that. Yeah. I didn't think anyone was going to like me. Apparently people do. I don't know. So, it's cool. I guess that's my goal, I guess, out of all this, and we'll see where we go from here.
I love it. So you answered my I was like, what is your next goal there? What's your ambition beyond what you're doing? And you pretty much laid it out. And that would be great, to bring a community together of people that are like-minded, that have the same goals, that are from this area or living in this area currently, and help everybody get discovered in a way, whatever the way they want to be. And
there's so much awesome individuals that want to get out there, that are just afraid to get their foot in the, they just need a little nudge out the door.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you are seeing the podcast value, and you're trying to go off on your own on that. If I can be of any value to you there, I mean, I'm opening this studio up. I'm trying to give this as a platform where people can come and create their own show. You know what I mean? So like, finding your place is great. I'm in this. I want this to be like something that I'm good at, and people want to come on, and we talk about whatever current event or whatever you got going on. But I also want to take a guy like you, a guy like my buddy Reggie and Derek, and I want them to bring me the idea of their show, and then create their show here, and use the studio and us collaborate
I get you.
Whatever.
I totally get you.
So if you want to talk about that, I would love to talk to you about that.
Yeah, we'd love to keep talking about more of that stuff in the background. And it seems like we have a lot of interesting things that we could talk about. You know, so that's just the part of the game. You know, there's doesn't matter who you are. I like this sort of being able to like people with your mindset, just wanting to make stuff happen. And like it doesn't matter who you are. Like I said, that Frank Taylor's his name, and his channel's Nature at Your Door. He's like an old gentleman. He's probably 60 something, and he would be right here with us saying the same sort of stuff. And I know on the same level, I know a kid who's 21 who's also at it. So like there's so much variety of ages and different types of people that you could get together and really kind of do I guess what you're trying to be like behind the scenes, your Dr. Dre sort of building thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. You want to, which
I got to step out one time, crush it, and then I can just kind of fade back and then
mentor everybody else and just sit in the background. And that's super cool.
So I need to find my Eminem. Just looking for the Eminem.
Definitely. Very cool, dude. Definitely.
Right on. But hey, man, I appreciate you being on.
Yes.
Dangerville, check out that. Subscribe to the channel. Jacob Smith. I guess that's a good ending point, man. I appreciate you being on. Man.
No problem. Thank you for inviting me.
Let's continue the relationship. Let's collaborate where we can.
Yeah.
And
go from there. Definitely.
All right, everyone. Hey, I'm just trying to get to 1,000. Look, I'm just trying to get to 1,000. I just want 1,000 subscribers. Come on now. Like, I need everybody to run over to YouTube. If you're watching this on Facebook or wherever you're watching it, you saw a clip on TikTok. Go to the YouTube channel and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.